welcome to a new episode of Straight Talk. After our marathon 6 races in 9 days in Berlin to conclude the season finale, we are now starting to look ahead to the future. And I'm joined here at Mahindra Racing by a couple of guests, and you'll recognise them both, but something has changed about one of them. Alexander Sims is with us. What is new haircut, new... What is it? What is?
Yeah, I had a shave this morning, so that's probably...
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's probably the new thing.
No, I think it's the T-shirt. Joining Mahindra Racing. How are you feeling about that?
I'm really excited. It's a change for me from being at BMW for 6 years now, and yeah, really looking forward to the new opportunity. I watched, I raced against Felix Rosenqvist for quite a few years in F3, and so saw him move across to Mahindra a few years ago, and followed his journey, and ever since then, yeah, I've been aware of what Mahindra's doing, the excellent efforts they're putting into Formula E, and you know, from the outside anyway, I'm looking forward to being involved in the inside, seeing the positive change that they're genuinely making in what they're doing, and so yeah, to be a part of that is pretty cool.
So to have been with BMW for so long, not only in Formula E but also in GTs and that sort of thing, it must have been quite a big decision to make to come to Mahindra?
I mean, yes, I did take some time to make sure that it felt right. Had a decent amount of time during lockdown to ponder the situation, and yeah, then made my decision and felt that it was the right thing to do, and obviously still do think that it's the right thing, obviously. But yeah, just looking forward to a bit of change. As I said, I enjoyed my time at BMW, and we haven't ended things on bad terms or anything. But yeah, it felt like the right time to have a fresh start.
And tell us about your Formula E journey, because you, as you say, watched it since the early stages. You've been quite a keen advocate of electric vehicle technology for a long time. How if people don't know that sort of side of you, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, my interest in electric cars started before Formula E was around, actually. Back in 2012, I got my first EV, and it was my only car. I mean, I drove it day in, day out, and experienced a pretty aggressive form of I guess, range anxiety and trying to find charging points and things like that. Had my cables in my boot, all the different adapters made up.
Was it really, really difficult back then to have it as a day-to-day car?
Bizarrely, it wasn't desperately difficult, but I think you needed to be willing to adjust your driving schedule, I guess, accordingly. So I would plan my trips in advance, and yes, you had to work out, charging stops for 2, 3, 4 hours, depending on how far you were going. But I enjoyed it, and yeah, I remember going to meet with Alejandro, just to be a part of the Formula E project, actually, not because my driving career was sort of not 100% going to happen, and I was just looking at what could be done beyond that. And so yeah, I went to meet Alejandro to be involved in Formula E, organising it, actually, in his office in London. And he was like, "What, you drove from South Wales to London in an EV?" Wasn't even aware that was really a thing still. So yeah, it was early days when I first got my EV, and yeah, I've been obviously desperate to get involved in Formula E from the word go. Got quite close a couple of times, and then yeah, the last 2 seasons obviously been involved in anger, and it's been awesome to be a part of that journey.
You're a very humble gentleman, and I think you'll even be humble about being humble. So I know the answer I'm going to get to this, but when you first joined Formula E, I remember speaking to you, and you were teammates with Antonio Felix da Costa, and I said, "Oh, what have you?" And you were sort of very much sort of putting down your chances up against Antonio in the early stages because he had all this experience and that sort of thing. How much did getting those 3 pole positions in a row at the end of season 5, start of season 6, getting wins, how much did that sort of consolidate your belief in what you could do in Formula E? Or did you always believe that anyway?
I mean, I it was certainly a nice thing to get some pole positions. But yeah, I guess it didn't feel like it changed things too much. I think that I never felt that my speed was too much in question. It was just the massive amount of challenges that there are in Formula E to execute a good race day, that I was aware, even just from the testing that we'd done, was aware that, you know, to get every single thing to go well is a huge challenge, and still is, to be honest. You know, I don't think there's any driver out there that can honestly say that, you know, they nail it every single time in every session. Formula E is just so complicated, and so yeah, I mean, it helped with the confidence a bit, but yeah, I'd say I'd still probably remain pretty much the same person now.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about your other racing parts of your career. So obviously starting off in junior single seaters and then moving to GT racing. We don't need year by year, but you know, just a general overview.
How long have you got? I guess, yeah. So I mean, I had the pretty standard career, panned out from Formula Renault, Formula 3, then realised that I probably wasn't good enough to get to F1. A certain Mr. Bottas kind of put an end to my dream as my teammate. He made me realise that, yeah, I was okay, but not good enough. And then, yeah, sort of just teetered around trying to work out what to do in motorsports, I guess. Did a bit of GT racing and some Formula 3 bits with T-Sport and Carlin, as and when they became available, when they had drivers drop out, and honestly wasn't really sure where my career would go, and then got an opportunity with BMW to go into GT racing, and for 5 years, I think, yeah, that was really my bread and butter, and it really enjoyed my endurance racing, still do, to be honest. And yeah, then got the call from them before season 5 that for whatever reason they were choosing to go for another new driver. They wanted that to be me, and then yeah, this Formula E story began, which was certainly a surprise at the time, but yeah, super thankful that it's enabled me to be involved in Formula E and come to this point where we are today, basically.
Yeah, well then let's bring in Dilbagh Gill, the team principal of Mahindra. Dilbagh, great to see you in real life, not on a computer screen, because for those of you who may have missed it, Dilbagh was tested positive for COVID-19 upon arrival in Berlin, so quarantined in the hotel for a couple of weeks. How are you feeling? Good to be out of that small room?
Absolutely, man. I'm feeling good, and yep, I'm feeling happy because it wasn't very difficult. I think I didn't have too many symptoms, etc. It was worrying, but not very difficult. Yeah. And thanks for everyone. I got a lot of wishes over those 2 weeks while I was in there. I want to really thank everyone. I think it was really nice for people to reach out and give me the wishes.
And so let's move on to the reason we're here. Alexander Sims, new driver for Mahindra. How did that come about? When did you sort of notice Alexander as a potential driver for you, and how happy are you to have him?
Well, I think we are constantly looking out for drivers, right? That's part of our job. Is like this is a constant process going on, and I think Alex did definitely sort of pop up in a radar right up in season 5. Because being honest, we always rated Da Costa, and he was. There's an old story that he was very close to driving for us in season 2. Maybe it was 15 minutes away from driving.
That
for us
close, really?
15 minutes away from. We do have his race suit, everything ready out here in Donington on the morning of the first test.
Yeah.
It was, Bruno was not too sure if he's going to continue with us, and if he didn't, Da Costa was going to be driving for us. So it was right from season 2. And I think Alex did really well because we knew who Da Costa was, and when you looked at the results over the year, etc., it was really impressive. I think more than that was also, I think, Alex's philosophy, which is really important. Because for Mahindra, I think this is just not racing. It's a part of a philosophy of where we are trying to go with sustainability, talking about electrification, etc. And we've been on the electrification journey for quite some time. And I thought, let's just Alex's philosophy towards this would stand us in strong stead going forward, because we at Mahindra are going to be investing a lot in electric mobility platforms. And I don't know if you guys are even aware of it. We were actually selling electric cars in England, 18 years ago?
Wow.
Yeah. The only unfortunate thing about that is I think even till today, at BBC. It's been voted the worst car ever tested by BBC. It was the G-Wiz. I don't know if you guys remember.
Oh
it.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's a company which we acquired some time ago. Okay,
Ah.
so electric cars, okay, were for us for quite some time ago. So we came into London, and it's funny because there are still 800 G-Wizzes in London City running around today,
Wow.
and they are still in lead-acid batteries. I think maybe the range might be 20 k's or something like that, but that's enough for London. A 20-kilometer range is, I think, reasonably good. And this car, so yeah, that's a story. And I think with Alex's philosophy of it, he's obviously really fast, and you could see that how he finished season 5, started season 6, and he said, "Oh man, season 6 in Diriyah." We said, "Okay, yeah, this guy potentially is going to be walking away because." It was just amazing when the guy comes and slides into the corner and still goes head forward. I still don't forget that. Okay, seeing the car. I've not seen a car with a Magna sign coming towards me rather than it coming like that. It's Magna, right, on that car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
on
So yeah,
the side pod,
the side pod coming towards the camera. That was pretty impressive.
It's a good way to get some sponsorship time, isn't
I
it?
know. Yeah. I was just wondering if his bonus was linked to sponsorship
To your
exposure.
angle.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. So a G-Wiz company car on its way. By the looks of it, that's great news. What about Alex's teammate for season 7? Is there any news on that yet?
Well, I guarantee he will have a teammate.
Okay, that's good to know.
For sure.
Okay.
He will have a teammate.
Okay.
Uh,
Am I still in the running or no?
Were you in the running?
No? But I don't know. Are we looking at all options? Have I got a chance?
See, Jack, with no disrespect, if verbal energy got regen, I will put you in the car. Okay, like if you could talk through your regen,
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll have the most efficient car out there. Okay, yeah. Unfortunately, no.
Okay,
You're too tall
fine.
for the car.
Fine. No, I am too tall actually. They keep saying, "Oh, drive the show car," and then they go, "How tall are you?" And I tell them, and they say, "No."
No, you're
Not
just
allowed to
tall,
drive
yeah,
it.
you're not
But
aerodynamic.
apparently, Idris Elba isn't too big to drive the car. Maybe being a superstar helps. But anyway.
You're getting there. Like,
Yeah.
I think maybe in
No,
2035
Deal
you'll be a
back.
superstar, yeah.
Come on, this podcast isn't about me. It's about Alexander's teammate for season 7. So yeah, what was the answer to that?
To be honest, we don't have. I don't have an answer. It's not. I'm trying to like bullshit on it. I don't have an answer, but I also would like to thank Jerome because Jerome would not be continuing with us
Okay.
going forward. I think Jerome was an immense teammate for 2 years. He helped grow the team, etc. We have some wonderful memories with Jerome. I think Marrakesh, obviously, and thanks to Alex there.
Yes.
So maybe that we got a few brownie points for the win in Marrakesh to Mr. Sims, who's sitting across the table. So maybe that helped a little bit because that was the last victory. But yeah, so Jerome would not be in the car.
Okay. Season 6 didn't go exactly the way you would have hoped, I would imagine, overall. But there were, 9 Super Pole appearances. There was some pace in the car. What are your learnings from season 6, and how do you feel looking ahead to season 7? Because obviously testing will be well underway.
Well, Jack, I think season 6, with the package we had, was not a bad year. If I put it that way, like with the package, because very early in season 6 we had to revert to season 5 powertrain when we had a powertrain failures earlier this year after Santiago, and then in Mexico when we went and changed and went back thing. Okay, so and we were basically running on a powertrain which is more than a year old, and even the parts were done a full season. So where we could maximize was qualifying and a bit on maybe on certain of the chassis development, etc. And I think we did a good job on that. We had a consistent car. Any driver who came in was pretty sure that we were going to bang the car into Super Pole. 3 times in 11 races we were not in Super Pole. We were 7. In all the 3 races we were 7. So it was like just the first car out of Super Pole, and those are, we're talking about hundredths and thousands of a second. So literally every race there was one car essentially in Super Pole, and then during the race we started moving backwards, but we improved at our deficiency by the end of the season to where we were. And I think pre-COVID and post-COVID races like Berlin, there was a significant improvement in Mahindra in terms of once we realized that we have this old package which is inefficient, how do we maximize the potential? And I think we were able to go get that. There was a bit of a disruption and change of drivers. It's not easy mid-season to have a new driver come in, but Alex Lynn came in and I think did a fantastic job, especially like where the car was strong was qualifying. He showed what the car could do. And overall, I think, yes, the results don't show the thing, and that's what's going to stay in history. Is going to be the number that what it is, end of the year. But overall, I think this year was a transition year also. We moved for the first time, brought the whole team in-house. We earlier used to work with a service provider. We don't do that anymore. It's all brought in-house. And I think we have a team which is a very strong base for going forward. So I'm optimistic going forward. And I would rather say, yeah, we're not as sketchy as what we were.
So basically, I think it was start of season 2, I wrote a piece on the Formula E website that said details of Mahindra's powertrain plans are still sketchy, and from then on, 5 years later, Dilbagh still says that I call them the sketchy team. But I don't. You're a great team. You're great, lovely new offices. Never been here before. This is great, and really kind of moving up.
No, this is nice, and I think this was, I think, one of our biggest developments also during COVID-19 was, okay, when we had the break, we were able to move into this place. And I think, as I said, like, this is the first time we're having everyone under one roof. Unfortunately, they're all not here because of a bit of work from home, etc. But I think once things get back, we've already started seeing the efficiency of people working together and the camaraderie. Because see, at Mahindra, we've always tried to also have a positive atmosphere within the folks. Okay, like while we are competitive, we want to go out and win. We also try to keep an atmosphere in the team of thing, and I think that's something which we're continuing to do. And I'm looking forward to Alex to come in and be a part of as we say, we always say, be a part of the family. That's what we look at it.
How that chat has just got me quite excited and makes me want to join Mahindra. You know, did you take much convincing like that?
I think we've clarified that that's not going to happen.
No, I know. All right. Yeah, no, I'll let that go.
As much as you might say it, but
but you know what I mean. Like, did it take a huge amount of convincing? Did it take a speech like that from Dilbagh to get you here, or actually were you pretty sold on it anyway?
Well, I mean, obviously during the process of assessing one's options, it's very important to have that connection and that conversation to understand how Dilbagh's feeling about the previous season, the outlook moving forward, and it was certainly important. I don't want to say critical, but important to understand the vision and where the team's going, and exactly just to understand the reasons for maybe some of the last few races not going fantastically well, or why they did go well, it's very good, very helpful to have that communication. I mean that's ultimately critical in any workplace, but especially making a step into a new situation, it's important.
So let's look at the next 5 months then. Is this going to be your sort of longest proper run up into a Formula E season, like knowing this far out that you're good to go for next year? And how do you think that level of stability will help with your preparation?
Well, I think coming into a new situation, new team, it's going to be very helpful to have that time to be able to come into the workshop. I only live less than an hour away, so I can come in pretty frequently, start working with the team, get to know everybody before we get to a pressurized environment at the racetrack, so that those relationships, those understandings are fully ready to go.
And what about you, Dilbagh? For the next 5 months, what can you and the team do? How intense is that period going to be? Because it's quite a long off season now in Formula E, after quite a long bit of an off season as well.
Well, I think from our side, it's basically getting a Season 7 powertrain bedded in, starting to understand it, because we're moving for suppliers, we're moving components. Like, it's no longer our previous supplier who's going to be there. Now ZF's going to be supplying us the thing. So it's a pretty big change for us. The whole philosophy in terms of the way the car's designed is quite different from what it was last year. We've sort of moved on. So I think for us to start adapting to it. So it's going to be a pretty intense test program with Alex and his teammate going forward the next couple of months. See, what we did in the last few months was, okay, we knew there was a run-up, but in the end, these races were so close to each other. We set up systems which could react overnight, because we literally had like you wake up in the morning and there's another race. And now I think we have to also start understanding some of the data which we've gathered in half a season in the last 10 days in terms of energy management, etc., because that there's going to be some amount of carryover going forward. So for me, I think it's initially a period of consolidation, getting the whole team back together, getting started. There's a certain amount of investment going in our simulators and other bits, so that's going to be happening right now, a test program. I think overall, in this period of time, is just to try to consolidate. The other bit where I think for me personally, where I'll have to help the team is also on the financial side to secure the team, because as you know, in COVID, its budgets have been impacted for everyone, investment capability of everyone has been impacted, etc. So I think for me, a large part of my thing is just to make sure that, okay, we are financially stable and have the resource to invest in the areas we need to invest.
Okay, well, fascinating stuff. Thank you very much, both gentlemen, for joining us. Thank you for listening as well. Remember to rate and comment if you like what you've heard. But from Dilbagh Gill and the new Mahindra driver, Alexander Sims, thank you for joining us. Join us next time for a next episode of Straight Talk. Anything else you want, Banksy?
Not from you.
Fine.